Hey y'all, it's JM, Real Guys Reviews. Well, welcome to my shop where I do my gun cleaning and reloading. This morning I was out plinking around on the back part of my place with the Smith Model 60 and the M&P 40C. Whoa, M&P 40C, what a great little gun. And got in a little bit ago from this chilly North Texas morning and thought I'd go ahead and clean them. I've already got my M&P fill stripped. I've actually gone through my Model 60, and I thought, well, this is a good time, maybe set the old camera up and visit a little bit about the generalities of what I've learned about cleaning over the last 40 years. No specifics in this. There's great videos on how to clean a revolver, how to clean a pistol, and none better than what you're going to find on, obviously, Hickok 45. So I'm not going to try to go back through that, but just visit with you about the generalities and about some of the idiosyncrasies that I've come across through this time. So let's go ahead and get started and see what we can come up with. Okay, let's take a look at our cleaning bench here and see what we've got. Well, first of all, the two guns I shot this morning, two of my favorites, Model 60. If you like revolvers, you've got to like the Model 60. It's one of the best out there. And then one of my favorite little pistols is the M&P 40C. Just everything about it I like. I put a little Laser Max laser on it a couple of weeks ago. It's kind of a neat addition. I've never utilized those before. We'll see how that works. Now this morning this actually became a 9C because I used the Storm Lake conversion barrel in it and shot 9mm with that, and obviously a 9mm magazine. These will convert from 40 to 9mm, from 40 to 357 SIG, just like a Glock does. Most of you know Glocks do that. Before we get off of the Glock situation, since we're talking about cleaning, it's hard not to talk about the Glock barrel with the lead accumulation in the factory barrel. If you shoot lead, Glock tells you not to use their factory barrel. And there's internet sites that talk about explosions having happened because of the polygonal rifling in that barrel. The polygonal rifling creates a situation at the back where lead accumulates. Is that real or not real? Well, if it's happened once and it blew up, I don't want it to happen twice and me be holding the gun. So that's just the way I feel about it. So when I use a Glock and I'm going to shoot lead in it, I will shoot either a Storm Lake or Lone Wolf barrel in it. Those are the two barrels that I use aftermarket. One of those is going to go in there if I shoot lead. Actually, because I shoot so many reloads, when I get a Glock, and I've got several Glocks, I interchange that barrel out. Even if it's for instance, my Glock 23, I change the barrel out from the factory to a Lone Wolf barrel, and that way I don't worry about when I'm shooting lead or shooting reloads. What's the deal with reloads? Well, in the back of the factory barrel, the case, for whatever reason, when they made this, it sits slightly loose in there. It doesn't sit snug like it does in the Storm Lake or Lone Wolf. So with that looseness, when the explosion occurs, it allows the case to expand a slight amount. A new case is no problem, but a reuse case, like we reload 4 or 5 times, that may weaken the case so that it ruptures when the explosion of the firing pin hits the primer, and then you have an explosion of your hand, the gun, eyes. It's just not worth it to take that chance. So if you don't believe it, that's fine, go do it. I believe it enough that I'm going to always use an aftermarket barrel that does not have polygonal rifling and lets my case sit in snug if I'm going to shoot reloads and lead in my Glocks. Okay, that is kind of an issue with this because we got to get that lead out of there, right? And let's just go back here and look at these agents a little bit. Hoppe's, golly, this has been around forever, hasn't it? There's nothing better than Hoppe's when it comes to cleaning guns. I've cleaned them in this for 40 years. I love it and love the smell. I mean, if you're across the other side of the world, you open up this Hoppe's and smell it, you'll relate that to gun cleaning. I'll even open it up and let this room smell like Hoppe's when I'm going to use. I don't do that. But it may be an interesting thing to do. Ballistol, Ballistol, whatever you want to call it, has been around, I guess, 5 or 6 years. I've used it off and on since then, but I had a hard time getting it. And then all of a sudden Hickok 45 starts talking about it, and as you know, when Hickok talks, people listen, and this now you can get this everywhere. I think Ballistol should give him a commission because now it's easy to get and it's a great cleanser and lubricant. That's the nice thing about this, is it also lubricates, where in my opinion the Hoppe's is a solvent and not a lubricant, so I don't deal with it as a lubricant. And then there's the old standby cleaner lubricant, CLP. Militaries use that for years, so you know, if it's good enough for a guy out there on the firing line dealing with a rifle that saves his life, it's got to be pretty good. And my buddy, who was in the Marines for years and then later in the Naval Intelligence, he used this exclusively and still does. So CLP has got to be a good agent just simply from the history of it. Now, why do I have 3 of them here, and why do I use the 3 of them? What I do is interchange. Maybe that's my compulsive behavior, but I think there's some things this may get, this doesn't. CLP may get, Ballistol doesn't, Hoppe's may get, neither one of these does. So I'll interchange them cleaning my guns. I mean, I don't go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, but I'll just every now and then clean with this, every now and then this, and then always every 4 or 5 cleanings I'll come through with Hoppe's because I use so much lead. And I think that is probably one of the better agents or best agents out there to get lead. These guns lubricate, these agents lubricate, and that's what I really like about them. When you finish cleaning your gun, you've also got it lubricated. Now, I'll probably have this gun oil for the rest of my life. I rarely ever use it, and for some reason every now and then I'll clean a gun and I'll find myself putting it on my finger and working it down the slide. I don't know why, because I think Ballistol and CLP do just as good, but I think that's old habits are hard to break. I used it years ago, and so sometimes I just go back to an old habit, put some on there. I never go to an old habit, put any back in this mechanism, never. And where the firing pin is on the slide and in the revolver, I'll dry clean those totally with a dry, nice toothbrush. Don't ever get oil back into those mechanisms, or you'll get into a situation where that they gum up and you have a problem with them hitting the primer and making it go off. This little agent right here, if I shoot, this is a mixture I made, and it's a 50-50 vinegar peroxide. If I shoot a lot of lead, let's say I shot 500 this weekend through this little barrel, then I'm going to soak it in this mixture for about 30 minutes when I get through. I came across this on one of the bullet sites. Actually, the Precision Bullet site talked about it, and I researched it, and it's a real deal. Whatever chemical reaction occurs, it works. So if you do shoot a lot of lead, it's not a bad idea maybe every now and then to soak your barrel in the peroxide and vinegar mixture. It appears to work pretty good. One other thing I want to talk to you about before we end this little video is when you fill break a gun, know what you're doing. You got to fill break it to clean it, right? So that's part of the cleaning process. And I'm saying that because I see on YouTube people, experts, they'll take the M&P and don't fill break it correctly. My wife tells me I know it all, so I try not to do that. She doesn't mean that, nicely. She means you're a know-it-all. But I try not to do that with guns because you can get in trouble with that. So if I get a new gun, first thing I do, even though I'm a know-it-all, is I read how to break this gun down. There may be some little issue that it breaks down differently than it looks like. This M&P looks like it breaks down just like a SIG does. You just pull down your lever, slide it off, and you're ready to go. I see that done on the internet, and I see it done by experts because they didn't read. Here's how you break this gun down. Back in the back, while the slide is on there, there is a little sear pin right here. And that little sear pin, you've got to pull that down or push it down. See how it's down now? Now the slide comes off. When it's up, it can break the little sear pin if you do that. Now obviously people force it and the little sear will follow it, but you don't want to do that. So you take your little sear pin there, push it down, slide just comes right off. And I've seen over and over this gun broken down on the internet, and they struggle to get it off, and they go, well, I don't know why. Oh, okay, well, it's a new gun, it's just a little hard. That's not the case. That little sear pin needs to be pushed down. The Ruger SR9C has a little pin the same way. It needs to be pushed down then the slide comes off very easily. I just wanted to mention that before we quit, because I see that done so much. I hope this has been of some help to you, and I've certainly enjoyed visiting with you about my cleaning bench area. The last thing that I want to do, the last thing you want to do when you leave the cleaning bench is get the lead off of your hands. Definitely don't want to head in the house. I'm a hand and mouth guy, so I'll ingest it if I'm not careful. I don't want to handle my camera with lead on me. So you finish cleaning, let's get the lead off our hands before we go and do other things, okay? Hey, thanks y'all. Enjoyed it, and hope to see you on Real Guys Reviews.